Hopefully it works. Oh good, we actually have some questions coming through.
Some more?
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't even know why the hell I'm looking at laptops lately, just because I realize that mine's like 9 years old and
But like, how often are you gonna use a laptop?
I haven't turned my laptop on in like over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I really like mine because it's, like I said, it has HDMI 2.0, so I can plug it into my 4K TV and still, and like do things. And I mean, laptops nowadays, especially like the ones that you were looking at, they're kind of desktop replacements because
Yeah, for sure.
You put 16 gig of RAM in that, and you have like 14K pass mark in a laptop.
Yeah, 6-core processors.
Yeah, it's stupid. I'm just waiting for the stream to boot up and make sure everything's working and get people to watch, I guess.
Well, people are already asking about it, so.
Where?
General. Dembring asked, where can we find stream info? Gator, still starting the live stream at 9 p.m.? I said, it'll be announced soon, with the soon being trademarked.
Your way of putting.
Oh, what is wrong with your internet? 10? I think it was number 10. I feel like I didn't upload 9 or something.
Oh, maybe. I just looked quick at your YouTube to see if it was.
We'll call it
what
10.
The last one was. The last one was 8 that was uploaded. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think you uploaded the last one, or you weren't there or something.
Yeah, I don't think I was there.
This is not a real stream if JDM's not there.
Just call it AMA number 10-ish.
AMA 9 3/4.
Doug Fox asked a simple question. I'm going to give him a simple answer. He asked, free NAS or Unraid? And I'm going to say Unraid. And not give any other further context to that.
That's it.
Straw poll time.
For about 90% of the people here, it's always Unraid.
Yeah.
60% of the time, it's Unraid every time. Is that a Star Wars animated background?
It is.
Seems legit.
Wallpaper engine.
Yeah. Is that just like then the contents from what workshop?
Yeah, I don't know of any other place to get them. That's all I use is the workshop. So if you're just joining the stream, we're just waiting for people to tune in. We've got about 15 right now, and see if we can hit 20 in the next couple minutes, and we'll get things rolling.
Let me boot up all my other VMs and join them to the stream.
Assemble the botnet.
That's right. Got to pump up those numbers. Those are rookie numbers. Did I tell you that I finally got a Magic Force that has LEDs on it now? The shine through ones that I was showing off.
Nice. Did you see the new Magic Force 68 V2?
The one that's like $100, $150 or something?
No, it was 80.
Well, it was more than 100 after you added the actual options, wasn't it?
No, the one I got was 80.
Let me look here.
That one was wireless with Bluetooth and everything too.
Wireless with Bluetooth,
Yeah.
USB-C, a battery, and LED lighting and PBT caps.
Yeah, that's retarded for that price.
It started at 80 bucks, and it has a 3,500 milliamp hour battery.
That's like as
Jesus.
much as my Pixel XL.
Yeah, it'll last a little while. I think it'll last a little while.
Just a wee bit. Hey.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
It's funny. No, I have enough keyboards. I have one being delivered to you. I have another one coming to me in like March.
So you have the one, like the cheap Alienware one, right? And then what else?
Let's see here. I got. Oh gosh, what all do I got? Let me look at my transaction list here. Yeah, I got the Alienware one. I got a I got a Magic Force 49 key coming in. I've got.
I always forget about that 49 model.
Yeah, I got the 68 key that I just received that has Cherry MX browns and blue LEDs with a gold WASD and arrow, which is kind of fun.
Wait, so you got the Magic Force 49?
Uh-huh.
I have a 49 that I literally don't use. It's on my shelf.
Well, I have one. It's ordered. It's not coming in yet.
Yeah.
These Gatoron or Gatoron browns, icy blue LEDs. Ship date's March 14th.
Oh, mine is whiteboard with ice blue LED and Gatoron greens. So like
Yeah.
super heavy blues. It's fun.
Maybe that's what I'll bring to the LAN.
Yes, no ZFS on Unraid, you're correct.
Well, yeah. Not unless you're running VMs, which defeats the purpose. Is that a live question or something from the...
Just YouTube chat.
Oh, I'm not watching the YouTube chat yet.
I'll give it about another 2 minutes and then we'll start firing away questions and whatnot. We have like 25 questions, or just about.
I'm assuming you're going to drop it in on another monitor.
Do what now? Oh, I have my Ultrawide split in half. That's why like you only see part of my screen on stream.
Perfect. Yeah, no, circling back to those Amazon returns, I was just watching one for a guy who ordered, he got a pile of displays only, basically, and like there was like 4 or 5 broken displays, but he got 2 different ultrawides that worked and one and a 4K that worked. So $300.
I feel like they're not gonna film a video of a bad box though.
Right. Oh yeah, no, totally. I just think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I just think for that, because I'm gonna end up going ultra wide at some point.
I've been using the Ultrawide as my solo monitor for maybe a month, and it's all right. There's a lot of things that don't support the format.
Like, what do you mean?
A lot of games just don't work in Ultrawide, so that you have to play it in 16:9 anyway. So you have these black bars on the side of your screen.
Yeah. No, I don't have that issue already. I can't play the games at 1080, so.
Well, I mean, like for example, like MOBAs like Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends. If you play it in Ultrawide, your mouse
stretch or something.
It messes with the FOV a little bit, but that's not really that big of a deal. The bigger problem is that your mouse isn't like, you have to move the mouse to the edges of the screen to move your camera, and there's so much more space on the edge of your screen. Like it really fucks with your camera control, And like camera control is a big thing in games like that, so
That makes
Right.
sense.
it's kind of annoying. So like I ended up playing them in 16:9 anyway because that's what I'm used to. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, because I plan on. I mean, for my casual stuff, I think an ultrawide would fit me better because I was doing dual monitors for quite some time.
Yeah,
out.
but things like even Skyrim doesn't support ultrawide.
I don't play Skyrim.
Okay, but it's just an example. Like there's a lot of things that don't support it, so
You
Right.
should.
No,
Skyrim's
I'm saying.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm saying like for all of my casual stuff or my coding stuff, anything that I do otherwise, which is 3/4 of what I do.
I'm
versus
actually
gaming.
more interested in a vertical ultrawide than I am in a horizontal one. Because having
Why
that,
don't you just turn it on its side? And then you'll have a vertical one.
I want one that they make them that you can turn. You can turn them, and
This
the
one neat
sand.
trick, you won't believe number 7.
All right. Does everyone have the link to the thing, the thingy?
Yep, I got it open.
Silder doubts no ultrawide on Skyrim.
I mean, there's definitely ways you can get it to work, but there's no official support, at least in the base Skyrim. I don't know about the enhanced edition.
There might be mods or something too that allow it.
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
lots
I
of mods for ultrawide and
Okay,
stuff, but yeah, it's like he just linked a mod. That's exactly what I was gonna. So it's annoying to have to mod like 50% of your games to get it to work, and of course, like once you do it, it's fine. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. Ballsy Kumpa. He asks, "Is there a Wikipedia page in the works? Isn't it just a wiki? I don't know. Well, I guess we can make
As
a
soon
wiki.
as you make it.
He wants a full-blown Wikipedia page.
Also, JDM's real name is Steve Jobs, and he also invented the internet, which is a series of tubes.
I thought his name was Moneybags.
My name is Meat Scepter." He says, "I and a few others have been collecting and organizing how-to guides from users who helped others on setting up specific Dockers." Well, yeah, it'd be a good thing, and we've been talking about a wiki on and off for over a year, but I can only do so many things, and hopefully someone else takes the lead on something like that, because I have no experience doing it. But
We all have full-time jobs, so this is a hobby.
What's a job?
Steve,
his second question was the idea of having a classroom-like session for those who have build complete for in-depth Docker setup or lacking instruction thereof. Yeah, I mean, we've been
Sounds
separating.
ambitious.
Yeah, it does, but like having separate roles and channels for roles. So like if you have build complete, you get access to like the lounge, and having the separate roles, it allows us to do things like that. I don't think we have anything like that in the works, but it's always an option, I guess.
Yeah, depending on the stuff. I mean, the thing he's talking about, I think, was Grafana and Varkin, which was AZ Mountain's whole deal. And Eagle and I actually went and followed. Whose guide was that? Lico GM, I think. Does that sound right?
Loosely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I sat there and followed through and streamed it the other night, recorded it, but I haven't edited something together yet. So that kind of stuff is happening. It's just not a regular thing yet.
Right. Someone want to take the next one?
yeah, I got it. Schmitty from Canada says, "Why do you recommend 2 AC lights, which are the Ubiquity access points, versus 1 AC Pro I'm about to purchase?"
it's kind of half dozen one, six the other. It depends on your setup, but for the most part, more quantity, especially in something like Ubiquiti products. If you have more lights than you do, like say you had one Pro versus two lights, like the lights will probably perform better. You'll get more square footage coverage, especially if you place them at like opposite ends of your house, for example.
Yeah, and like you said, it depends on the situation. If there's a ton of walls in the house and whatnot, you're gonna want two spread apart. It'll give you better coverage.
Yeah, and what I did was I just started with one AC Pro, and it was on sale, and then I eventually got a second one. So you could go that route too. If you're planning on going for like the ultimate network setup, you can always just start with one, add one later. You really can't go wrong either direction. So I think
there's also the AC LRs, which are good also. They have better antennas than the lights.
Yeah. Like I have an AC light in my garage, and it's solely for driveway internet access, and it works great. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the cheapest way to add more access points is AC lights, and ACLRs aren't that much more expensive, but they do have quite a bit more range. Pros have the range of the LR, but they have way more throughput, so just something to consider. But for most people, I would say two AC lights is the way to go.
Yeah, if I remember right, the Pros versus the LRs just have more 5 gigahertz bandwidth.
Yeah, it's a 3x3 radio in the Pro and a 2x2 in the lights.
Yeah,
and then
the LR is 3x3 also, just less 5 gigahertz, I believe.
I thought it was.
No, it's a 2x2.
Yeah, it's.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So, like, if you have a small apartment or like a condo or a flat, I would say probably go for a single Pro if your budget's around 140 or whatever. If you have a larger space and you still have the same budget, go for two of the smaller models.
You'll be very happy.
Still, you can just start with one and see how you like it, how
Yep.
it covers everything.
Like,
Always order
yeah,
a
there's
second.
really nothing, like, you can't really go wrong either way.
It'll be better than anything consumer.
Ballsy asks again, since the 3D printing channel has gained popularity over the past few months, what ways can those of us help utilize the 3D printing channel for each build guide? For example, someone is trying to turn a Rosewell case into a JBOD that can hold 36 drives. Geez,
So,
I don't know.
I definitely feel like the 3D printing channel is something that spawned out of user interest. Not really so much what and the mods or trusted people are doing. Just kind of.
Yeah, but I mean,
I've never really taken much interest in it.
well, I guess think about all the like janky things we do with our servers. I mean,
Janky
yeah.
thing? I don't know what
Yeah,
you're
I
talking
just-
about.
Is that
I
a
just don't see
technical term?
anybody unless some users want to step up and make guides for that stuff. I don't see any of us doing it. Just
no, I think he means like what parts could they make to like.
Like, could they make them and sell them to the community for dirt cheap to help out with builds?
Like I was thinking like fan mounts or something for like the North Bridge or the South Bridge.
Yeah, like I got some cat cable combs.
Cable combs?
And yep, and they are awesome for cable management.
Yeah, stuff like that. I'm kind of interested to see if that JBOD thing turns out.
Yeah, I would be interested to see how it holds up long term.
yeah.
No, I mean, that's the thing is if you guys are wanting us to see stuff or look at stuff, make sure you're, letting us know to take a look at it. Because do any of us here have a 3D printer?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
So-
honest with you. I've only gone on that channel to ask people to print me stuff. I
Same.
won't look at it otherwise.
It's
Yeah.
on my list of things to get.
Yeah.
I have
Eventually.
enough rabbit holes right now, and
That's why I'm not
3D printing
going down that
and
one.
drones and VR are not rabbit holes I'm willing to go down.
At this time.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah, at this.
Gavin Belson logos are always welcome.
I'm just digging my current rabbit holes deeper, and I'm not digging any more. So
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with those. It's just
no, absolutely
it's not on
not.
my radar anytime soon.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can come up with things that, I mean, it's pretty obvious what common things, we use. We use the Roswell chassis. We use like the Cooler Master N400, all kinds of super micro boards. Obviously stuff for hard drives or fan mounts, things like that. I mean, anything that's universal or common that people could use. Like, I'm sure it'd be super helpful.
Cable
Two
cones,
things-
PCIe
Yeah.
mounts.
I was going to say there's probably 2 or 3 different things that I could see being really useful. Cable combs is one of them. Something like like a custom 3D washer type thing for the heat sinks that don't always fit perfectly and need squibs, basically. And you could, I don't know, there's a couple of different things you could do with it. You could do 3D printed CPU socket covers for the people that are shipping stuff back and forth without protection of their sockets. But that's
Always protect
all.
the socket.
yeah, that's all stuff that's kind of, there are cheaper ways to do it, but if that's stuff you want to do,
Yeah.
Not PC build related, but headphone stands.
Oh yeah.
For
I was thinking
saw
that
us
just now
audiophile
too.
guys. A lot of people like headphone stands.
Yeah. It's hard to get a good headphone stand that's not like $100.
Yeah, come up with a good 3D printed one that's cheap.
like a
Um,
yoga block.
Yep.
So from YouTube chat, Doug Fox asks, what routers are you guys using with your Unify APs? Some of us use pfSense, but I think most of us use either the USG or EdgeRouter X.
Yeah, I have the EdgeRouter X, and it's been online for over half a year with no downtime.
Yeah,
I have
it's
EdgeRouter
pretty
Lite.
unanimous.
My Ubiquity stuff predates the EdgeRouter X.
What'd you say,
It's
Alan?
ubiquity all around. Right.
Yeah, for me, and like having a significant and heavy online presence and uploading videos and stuff, like if I want to learn things about networking, I will spin up something and learn something about networking, or I will test bench some hardware or something like that. But my personal network, it just needs to work, and it needs to work all the time. And sticking with the Ubiquity brand and product line, like they all integrate together, so I don't really need to worry about a whole lot, and they have advanced enough features where I can do what I need to do with them. But it's not one of those things that I don't like playing around with my home network too much.
If it works, it works. Don't try to fix what's not broken.
Don't test it in production.
No
Right.
sense of adventure.
Well, a lot of us don't like to work when we come home, so there's that also.
I have a sense of adventure, and I've
In
had a
rabbit holes.
yeah. It's just that's one of those things. Just like that's my iPhone argument. It's like I have an iPhone, and I need my phone to text and call people, and that's about what I use my phone for. So
Yeah.
Someone want to take the next question?
Sure, I can go it. Vapor Jesus writes, aside from media access, what services do you provide to friends and family with your servers?
I think the answer to that question is yes.
For me, I mean, it's primarily media. I do computer backups, but only when I'm like physically working on their computers.
Yeah, I don't want to be responsible for their live backups because God knows what they have. And if I'm working on a computer or something, yeah, I'll do a temporary backup, or I'll say like I'll hold your data for 30 days. Like if I do a computer restore or something, but there's no way I'm like, hey, here's cloud backup for you, and you know just
Yeah, and
dump
there is
whatever you
ways
want
to
on
do
it.
cloud storage like that, where hey, you can back up stuff here, but same, just no.
I would say I'm actually pretty selfish as far as my servers and computer stuff goes. I don't offer a lot of services to people.
Right. No, that's kind of the rabbit hole, is that if you offer technical services at any point to family, they generally have they think that that's an agreement that they will always be able to go to you.
And then you have to fix everything for them also.
Fault
So
don't
it
boost
depends on how
don't
close your family is also.
fault
Yeah.
don't boost your gain. I had everyone turned down. You're kind of
Yeah,
peaking your mic actually.
Better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Not a problem. But yeah, no, media access is really it. My parents especially don't do much with computers, so an iPad was too much for my mom. She's on email and that's about it.
And he also asks, what percentage of your household power consumption is server related? Pretty good amount. It's more than I'd like to admit.
My server stuff runs 24/7 and all the lights in the house are off most of the day, so I would guess that it's probably, I don't know, half, a third, something like that.
I would say probably most of my power usage, because we have gas heat and we have gas, like a gas range, we have a gas dryer. Especially in the winter, like probably 70% is,
Yeah.
and summer maybe less because of the air conditioning, 35-40%.
Yeah, it definitely is climate dependent. I'm in Florida, so during the summertime, my AC bill is going to be 90% of my utility cost.
Yeah. And as far as power consumption goes, we talk about this all the time. They're not as bad as a lot of people say. They say like, oh, they're just power hogs, and
Yeah, just because it's Xeons, they're power hungry.
that's just not true. There's
Right.
low power Xeons. There's all kinds of efficiency optimizations you can make. You can set your
TDP is an actual power consumption, blah blah blah.
you can set your hard drives to spin down if you want. You can use DDR3L, which is 1.35 volts versus 1.5 volts. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it could save 5 to 7 watts per stick, for example.
And if you have 24 sticks of RAM in a rig,
Yeah, you can change your turbo boost options. You can change power profiles and things like that. So, as I've had a server, I've definitely made optimizations as I've gone on, and realized that I don't need to be running it full turbo, maximum power, 24/7.
Maximum power.
Infinite power.
there's a lot of
we've
different
talked before
variables
about
into
you
it.
downsizing even. So
Yeah, that's a big thing I've been doing. Is just downsizing, and some people like to say right sizing, but it's a lot of people like to overbuild, and then I did the same thing, and then I realized I don't need all of that. I'd rather have the extra cash and not waste power while it's sitting idle. So
You might need 50% power for 10% of the time.
Let's see. I just looked up my utility cost. I've got a 20 hard drive server that runs 24 hours a day, and the highest rate that my utility offers, kilowatt hours, would cost me $140 a year. But it's almost never at that rate because that's peak consumption. So, to give you an idea, that's a dual processor x5670, 20 hard drive spinning, always, no spin down.
what's your monthly cost?
Oh, average like $60 a month for my total utilities. Again, I'm
My
in a
sort of
house
custom-
in Florida with AC, so
Yeah.
while you guys are freezing up north, we were in the 70s this
Oof.
week. So
Don't start with me about the cold.
yeah. But yeah, I would guess that my server is probably, I don't know, less than 20 a month most of the time.
Alex Senkov asks, "What are some good headphones for around $25?"
Porta Pros.
KPH30i.
Yeah,
They're so
KPH30i.
KPH30i, when they're on sale on Mass Drop, you can get them for $20.
Nice.
Or 30 regularly on Amazon.
My favorite
which is
cheap
still a-
headset. I forget that
still
they're
a
on
good
my
buy.
head.
They're only like 60 ohm. They're pretty easy to drive, so you can plug them into most phones, and they actually work surprisingly well as an Xbox headset.
Or PlayStation 4. Yeah, they sound really good. They've got very, very natural sound. They've got surprising bass and pretty portable. They have a microphone built in if you like that sort of thing. I mean, I have all kinds of headphones. I still love the KPH30i. So
Yeah, we have a running joke in Discord about joining the Church of Koss. But it's true. They're just really good, cheap, pure headphones.
Yep.
Pretty hard to find something that's that good for that cheap.
I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but go ahead if you want to ask his questions.
Which one are we looking at? Marix?
Yeah.
Marix? Pronunciation optional.
That's how I would say it too. So
There's too many. There's too many. Too
triple
many
X's.
vowels.
Mari beep. Okay. Can I run dual E5 2690 V1 silently?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was gonna say silently, definitely.
I mean, it
Well, how would you go about it? I guess I should ask.
it's
and I
your-
can say what I would.
it depends on what your definition of silent is, but as quiet
I was
as
gonna
you
say
can,
that same thing.
as quiet as you can get them is with the EVGA CLC coolers.
120s.
Yeah, the 120s, the CL11s, and use those in the Rosewell case. Strap some cheap fans to them, cheap quiet fans to them. Arctics are okay, but if you want to get even quieter fans, you can use Noctuas if you want. But
Expensive.
they're expensive. But I mean, I guess you would only need the two.
True.
And that's about as quiet as you can get. I mean, pretty much all you'll hear is the pump noise, and even that is just like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And you could even go up to E5 2697 V2s, which are like the 12 cores on that setup, and you could still run them very quietly. But I think that's your best bet. Did you have a different idea?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think replacing the fans in your case is the easiest option, making sure you got a solid power supply as quiet as possible, and then some kind of liquid cooling. The bigger the radiator you have, the easier it's going to be to keep it quiet, and then you can sit there and play with, fan settings and stuff from there. I mean, that's pretty standard advice for it,
Yeah, the higher end power supplies usually have an eco mode where the fan doesn't even spin when it's idle, basically, because there's no heat exchange.
Yeah.
And question 2 from him. Let's see. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna read it, but go ahead.
Now, aside from the Rosewell 4U server case, are there any full-size towers that have 8 external 3.5 inch, 5.25 inch bays? External or internal?
Pretty sure he means external, like hot swaps.
Yeah, full-size towers with 8 hop swap bays is going to be a tall order.
Yeah, the Entho Pro has, 3 5.25 bays, which you could swap those with some kind of converter.
I think you can do
Yeah.
4 3.5 in that, and then 6
Yeah,
in the
I think-
normal.
Yeah,
But-
it's not going to
but-
be cheap though.
The 6 normal are going to be internal still, not external hot swap. To get a tower with 8 external hot swaps.
There. Okay, here's the thing. There's options out there. They're probably expensive, but the root of the question is why do you want that? I mean, are you really going to be swapping your drives that often that you can't shut down your tower and pull them out and swap them out?
This is my hard drive for PUBG. This is my
And-
hard drive for Doom. This is my hard drive for WoW.
And if it's a case of he wants like smaller form factor versus like the Rosewell 4U, even the Entho Pro, volume wise, it's bigger.
Also, Rosewell makes a short for you, which is about the size of a full tower. And you could probably set that on the side, put some feet on it or something. It's not cool.
Do you have the model number for that one?
Yeah, it's not quite as long as the...
Is that the L4000? No.
something- I'll find it.
Sure. Next question.
But even with that, you still need to add in the cages that have the external bays, and those are like what, $50 a piece, I think.
So there's two. There's the R4100, which is like the super short for the short depth rack. And then there's also the R4000, which is 8 bays. And it's about the size of a regular tower, maybe just like an inch longer. But it doesn't have the fan wall that the 4500 has. So,
Gotcha.
It's doable, just expensive.
And really make sure you can justify your hot swap.
yeah,
Next.
go ahead.
Who's going to read Mellowwood? All right. Mellowwood says, FYI, I've already joined the JDM Discord server for our reference. He's looking at beginning to build a good/above average server that's suitably vague, that will probably just be used for Plex, maybe more things in the future. I'd say about half my media is 1080p and H.265. My question is, what CPUs of your anniversary LGA 2011 build would you recommend for my 1080p H.265 media that I could possibly see up to a max of 3 users at once using, or is this not really possible/feasible? Well, according to how I'm reading the question, doesn't really matter which CPUs. If you get the proper clients, they'll be able to direct stream that media.
Let's assume that he's going to transcode all of them. Just worst case scenario.
Worst
Even
case scenario?
2630Ls.
Yeah.
1080p for 265 is not a big deal for
It's
transcode.
not a big deal.
No, I would even say 2630s, 2630L, 2620s. Any of
Whatever
those
you
are
can
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
those are
usually the
all
recommended baseline.
in what, the $20 price range?
Yeah, they're cheap. I mean,
You can always
So-
find a pair for under 50.
The
I don't
answer
have
to that
anything.
question Is yes.
I don't have anything that's 2011, and some of my content is in 1080p H.265, and I have no problems doing it with dual, 5670s in mine? Yeah. So I have no problems with it. I mean, you don't need expensive parts to play H.265.
2630. So we just updated the CPU. Well, okay. Manbear updated the CPU sheet
Thank you, Manbear.
with
I was
latest
getting
pricing
work to
from
do that.
from eBay. So 2620s are 14 a piece. 2630s are 25 or 24 a piece, and 2630Ls are 25 a piece. So they're, for a pair, you're looking at between $28 and $50, and yeah, I mean that's great.
Cheap.
Yeah, very cheap.
Thing with
Answer is
Plex
yes.
is it uses all the cores, so with dual sockets and
Yeah, you'll
dual
have
CPUs,
12 cores, 24 threads, which is a lot.
Yeah, that 2K recommended pass mark gets wonky, as we always say.
Part 2 of Mellowwood's question. Is a GPU necessary or useful at all? Like I said in question 1, I'm pretty sure all I'll ever use this for is Plex. I think I currently have 20 terabytes of Linux ISOs. Also, third question, do you recommend building in a rack or just a standalone unit? Is this just pure personal preference? I like the idea of a rack, but from your experience, are they just too cumbersome and too much of a hassle?
Let's start with part 1, aka question 2.
Question 2A.
Don't
Is a
buy
GPU necessary?
Don't buy a GPU unless you need to have a display output on that computer.
Well, servers, for the most part, have VGA.
Yeah, so you really don't need it. It's not useful. It's not very. It's useful for Plex, but it doesn't look very good, and it's not all that useful. It's pretty limited with how many transcodes you can do, and it just looks like trash.
Yeah, so I'm still working with the P2000. So to answer your question directly, GPU necessary? Absolutely not. Is it useful? It can be. But I'm working with the Quadro P2000, and it's been a pain in the neck, and it only works on Windows 10 fully. Does not work fully on Windows Server. It does not work fully on Linux. So it's kind of like only half useful in those situations. And if you're spending that much money on a GPU, you might as well just either stick to CPU transcoding or buy like a better CPU, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be cheaper to buy better CPUs.
Yeah, and there's at least 3 outstanding software bugs with it that I'm not going to go into right now, but they're an annoyance enough that I wouldn't recommend using it. And for some reason, the P2000 advocates, the Church of the P2000, they like to overlook these software bugs and claim it's a non-issue, which is really not the case. Not that I'm against it. I mean, I would love, proper GPU support because that gives us more options.
Yeah, one day it might be feasible.
But it's not at a point where I can recommend it to anyone.
And as always, this is our opinion. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it.
My opinion is that show stopping and playback stopping bugs, that's a deal breaker.
Or server crashing bugs or blue screen bugs.
Server crashing bugs, or all the above.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big deal breaker.
And this is something that I've been able to reproduce under 100% of the circumstances with different hardware. I've been testing it in multiple builds with multiple installations of the software and trying it different ways, and every single time without fail it will reproduce the same bugs. So it's not like just a an instance. Yeah. So
part 3, do you recommend building in a rack or just a standalone unit? Is this personal preference? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, basically it's personal preference. Just because you buy a rack server chassis doesn't mean you need an actual rack for it.
Yeah.
And set it up fully without it. Just have a rack mount case without a rack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tilt it on the side, have it laying on the floor, or vertical mount on the wall. Bunch of options.
If you're feeling really budget conscious, you could do the lac rack hack that a lot of us are fans of. You basically take a IKEA lac table and you fit it with the additional shelf and some wheels, and you've got an instant rack. It's the perfect width for a rack mount computer case.
A lac rack, you say? Let me drop my lac rack album into the live stream.
Oh no way! They make long lacs as well.
They do.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about the long lac, it's the I guess it's like the coffee table version.
Not the big coffee table. It's like the middle-sized coffee table.
Right.
The one that's like $30.
Yeah, and it's got a shelf about halfway down that you can actually set the case on for the Rosewell 4500.
Yeah. What's his name has one? Ironic Badger.
Of course he does.
Yep.
That's all I have to say to that.
So I dropped the album into the live stream channel there so people can see that if they want
Nice.
to. But I mean, I have two 4U cases in there, and I could probably throw a 1U switch or something on top of it without too much issue.
Yeah, let me
It
see if I can
shows.
pull that up on
If you're
stream.
feeling really lazy, you could just take a single lack table like the square one, and literally just flip it upside down. You don't have to get another shelf or anything. You got a shelf right there.
Yeah.
A lot of people put
Mine's,
casters and
as-
stuff on it so you can roll
Yeah.
it around.
You
Mine's
can do mods
slightly
to it. You
overrated.
you can put caster wheels on it. You can stack them up upside down. So as you need more shelves, you just get another lack.
People
table
fill them with like sand and cement and stuff to make them sturdy. Yeah, it seems like a fun thing, and I was debating going that way for a while. But from my experiences with racks, I had a 42U, which was an old HP. Great rack. It was very sturdy, but I mean the side panels alone were big steel sheets, and they were like 80 pounds each for the side panels, and the door was like 40 pounds, and the back was like, I don't know, 30 pounds. But when it came time to move, that got recycled because I was like, I'm not moving this thing. It's too much. So I bought a
It's included with the house.
yeah, I bought a four post StarTech 25U with casters, and it's not nearly as heavy. It's adjustable size, and I like it a lot. I think most people could do everything they need in a 25U. So that's just my experience, and it was only like $160 or something like that. It wasn't too expensive.
I think even for most people, 25U would be way more than enough.
Yeah, it just gives me room to, like, you know, I have my monitor inside the rack, you know, and things like that. So it's pretty contained, but I mean, I guess a lot of people could get away with a 12U even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going to have to get up to once I
put
finish
your
my
networking
networking
gear and everything.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
Zethalon,
Whale
Overlord, F. Varkin. I don't know what that means. His name changes about every other week, so you'll have to ask him about that one. He asks, do you use a password manager? If so, which one? Personally, I just use LastPass. I'm a bad boy.
I use KeyPass,
These LastPass.
but I'm getting ready to switch over to a hosted something that I'm playing around with.
Same as Fault.
He also asks, what would be a good 2011 Xeon for game servers? I believe higher clocks are always better, but I don't know which one to go for. Okay, that's true that higher clocks are always better. However, at what point does it not matter? And it depends on the server that you're running, because some servers are unfortunately single core, and I think it's like Arma 3 is like single core. So
It's awful.
yeah, so like that would be enough for me to not even want to host it. Like I just wouldn't. So I mean, take a look at the CPU sheet. There's all kinds of clock speed. You know, you look at the turbo column and just go down and find which one has a good turbo speed. But any of those that are like 3.5 gigahertz or higher turbo, that should be plenty, unless you're running like a pretty serious server that's like a 200 person Arma server or something like that. But from my experience with my server, my server's clocked at 2 gigahertz all the time. I have the ceiling set at 2 gigahertz. Like it could go to 3.5 or whatever, but I have it kind of hamstringed at 2. And I've run all kinds of servers, and I've had a great time. We used to run a Halo Online server. It worked flawlessly. So
And what CPUs were that?
I have E5 2667 V1s, which I've severely kneecapped.
You cut their nuts.
Yeah. I kneecap them because they don't need to be turboing for for anything, and if it, if a job needs power, it can wait.
Yeah, if you want pure gigahertz 2647s or the 2667s, like you said.
The 2643s, I think, are the quad core, like i7 equivalent, the turbo to 3.5.
Oh yeah.
Those are usually pretty cheap. Hello. Those are usually pretty cheap. For a 1366 socket, like X5687, X5667, something like that. But
Seth asks, I want a super fast and easy to use Plex server option under $1,000 US. I am not technical, so it should be relatively plug and play. I need to be able to stream to 5 devices, usually running at the same time if possible. I only use 1080 content. Pick a build, or pick a pre-built. There's a lot of options under $1,000. If you do not want to get your hands dirty and get different parts and put them together pre-built, we have a pre-built guide that will cover what you need. You haven't said the size or amount of storage you're targeting, but
yeah,
you have a lot of room to play with $1,000.
Go for a pre-built, and if you join the Discord, literally anyone will help you if you need to like upgrade your CPU or something like that. Or, I mean, there's so many people online now. We have probably like 800 active users at any time, and we have 3,500 plus in the server.
Yep, I just checked yesterday.
There's always going to be someone around to be like, yeah, you should do this, or you shouldn't do that, or here's how you do this. So don't be worried about the too technical aspect of it. I mean, they're just computers. The short of it, servers are just computers. So
if you have questions, just always ask.
Yeah, ask before you buy.
Yes.
Please ask before
Please.
you buy. We've seen too many times where somebody said, I bought this and this, and then we go, well, why did you do that?
They're not compatible.
Mike Bobble asks, I'd be interested in some smaller form factor builds. Any plans to share some? I know it's harder to find some cheaper micro ATX motherboards, but not everyone, read me, are being instructed by our fiancés to go smaller than the Rosewell.
Funny you should ask that, because I saw that question, and the other day I was like, hey, that's a good idea. I'll remind people. So in the announcements channel of the Discord, I've posted a mini build guide, and I don't know if I'll turn this into a website or a page on the website, but the first build is a E3 1230. It's like basically an i7, just 4-core, 8-thread, 3.6 gigahertz turbo. It's $50. The Supermicro motherboard's $36. 8 gig of RAM is $27. And you're looking at $113, and that's micro ATX, so you can use it with any micro ATX case you want, and it's about 8,000 pass mark. There's another option for 9,400 pass mark, and that's only a little bit more. That's like $138. Or you could go for the classic X8 SIL combo, which is $70, and it's about 6,000 pass mark. I listed a couple case options. I like the Fractal Node 804. It's got 12 hard drive bays, so that's pretty cool. And then CPU cooler and a couple power supply options. So that's my answer for the micro ATX. Does anyone have anything to say about that?
All sounds good.
Nope,
Yeah, I was
sounds
gonna
good.
say you covered it. Your announcement looks like it was about 1 hour after he initially asked the question. So
Oh, okay.
good timing.
Does anyone have anything to say about why we don't do a whole lot of micro ATX things?
Mainly price, I would assume. Just well, I would say value for what you pay for some of the micro ATX stuff.
A lot of that you get, single CPU socket, limited PCI slots.
You don't get as much.
RAM.
You might spend less. You might spend about the same, but you definitely don't get as much.
Yeah. Micro
Not
ATX.
as good value.
Micro ATX is something that's very consumer oriented, and there's a huge market for it. Whereas, so you don't see as many like off lease servers that are micro ATX. So that's part of it, and also the full size sockets like 1366 and 2011. There's basically no server motherboards that are micro ATX. There are consumer motherboards that are that way, but again, they usually carry a higher cost. So,
Higher cost, less features.
yep, they don't support DDR3 ECC, for example, things like that. Which let's see. Wrestler 902 asks, are the newer Ryzen chips good for Plex? I've been considering building a Plex media server, and I've been dying for an excuse to check out the second gen Ryzen. Look, if you want to get a second gen Ryzen, go for it, but it's supremely overkill, and you're going to be wasting a lot of money, in my opinion.
DDR4 prices.
You're not necessarily going to have a bad time. You're just going to spend a lot of money.
Yep.
The value for what you're
Your wallet's gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to get 16 gig of DDR4, at best, you're looking at about $95 for 16 gig. And how much is 16 gig of DDR3 ECC? Like 15, 20 bucks?
Yeah.
Under 20 bucks.
20 bucks.
I got 24x4 gig of DDR3 for 110.
Yeah.
So about the same
You're a
price.
monster.
So that's what 96 gig you got for?
Yep, 110.
For 110 versus 16 gig. Yeah, okay.
So that's what, 6 times the amount of RAM?
No one wants to hear about your RAM deals.
Shh.
RAM.
Hey, a deal's a deal.
Yeah.
RAM my.
What about RMA?
Okay, so someone asks, I saw your video on reformatting EMC drives. I have some 3 terabyte drives that I've tried using the procedure. I'm using an HP whatever with an HP RAID controller on it. I'm having a hard time. Okay, here's the thing. When I release a guide like that, the guide for the most part is applicable to the hardware that I used and the drives that I used. It may work with other drives. It may work with other hardware. The process might be exactly the same. It might be slightly different. It might not work at all. The card that I used and everything that I used is in the video description. And if it's not, shoot me a message, but it should be. I don't have the parts that you talked about on hand, so it's hard for me to provide a recommendation outside of just Googling it. So if that's what I'm going to do, I would just tell you to do the same thing. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, just saying that you have 3 terabyte drives doesn't mean you can necessarily do the same thing. There's no information about what kind of drives there are on it, and just too many variables that we don't see to know what's going on with it.
Yeah, the RAID controller might not be formatted in the right way, or BIOS, or whatever.
Or might not even support the command to begin with.
Right.
Yeah, RAID controllers, sometimes they have some very specific things with them that you can or can't do.
Yeah, and the other thing with EMC drives is that reformatting them is not generally a user, like an end user supported function. It's like you generally just buy the drives in the format that you need. So these are like commands that people have found out how to reformat them, and it works. And it works on like the ones that I recommended. But generally, like if you're working on IT and you need 520 formatted drives, you just buy 520 formatted drives. Or if you need 512 formatted drives, you just buy them. You don't buy 520s and then reformat brand new 520s to 512. So there's not a whole lot of documentation and stuff on how to do that outside of like specific use cases.
Alrighty.
So next question: pancakes, waffles, or French toast?
Yes.
French toast.
Waffles.
I'm a waffle guy.
Yeah, waffles are very versatile. Pancakes are like you put butter and sugar on them, and waffles like you can do chicken.
Yeah, I'm not a pancake fan. Waffles I'll do.
Yeah.
If you put a plate of any of those three in front of me, I would eat any one of them. So
Yes.
Pancake Jam 2019.
His second question is sausage, bacon, or shitty bacon.
Hey,
wow, that's a strange way to say shitty.
can I wrap the sausage and bacon in the Canadian bacon? So all of the above.
Again,
That's a funny way to spell ham.
put all those in front of me, I'd probably eat
Canadian
all three
bacon
of
is
them.
not ham.
It's a porkin. It's like a turducken, but it's all pork all the way through.
For me,
It's
it
all
depends on the
bacon.
kind of sausage. Bacon is generally like 99% is great. Canadian bacon is like I never crave it. I'm never like I need Canadian bacon this morning.
Need some of that Mexican black tar chorizo.
I love chorizo.
Trees is awesome.
So Isildur asks, is there a story/meaning behind the what part of JDM what? Someone asked me this on Reddit. Why is someone asking you about my username? Not really. There really isn't. It's unfortunately mostly nonsensical, although I am very into Japanese cars, so that part
I was
of
gonna
it,
say it's the
yeah.
sound you make when you downshift, right?
Yeah. He also
That
asks,
was more like, what's that noise?
yeah. So a lot of people call me like, I don't know, JDM who, or a lot of people call me JD, which is fine. That a lot of people call me JD. That's totally fine, but that is not even close to my real life initials. So. He also asks, what brings on new builds? Are you constantly looking for parts to piece together? When do you know when you have something you actually want to publish?
We basically just browse daily randomly.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few eBay search terms that I just kind of click on, and I'm like, yeah, we'll see if anything new pops up here and
Right.
or there, and I mean, sometimes they're just like Xeon server motherboard, and I just like look through the new listings. It's 90% of the time it's just garbage. It's nothing. And yeah,
Are, like out of custom and shit.
we're constantly looking for stuff, and we talk a lot behind the scenes about, hey, check this out that I just found. Is this any good? And then, I mean, these guys will remember the NAS Killer V2, which was probably the craziest. Like it was the NAS Killer V2, and then like the anniversary build right after.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff shows up on eBay because these companies lease their servers, and they need new servers every year, every 2 years. So when they offload them, these recycling companies refurbish them and put them up on eBay.
Yeah, they get them in on the pallet loads.
And so you'll see, parts change every now and then. You'll see a run of motherboards available suddenly that didn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
Used, obviously.
I mean, you can even date this back to like, what is it, 4 years ago now at this point, or 3 years ago, with the E5 2670 V1s that Facebook was like off leasing basically, and the market all of a sudden was just flooded with 2670 V1s, and I mean there was probably like 8,000 or something of them on eBay, and they went from being like $400 a piece, and they're going down past 200, and they were going down to 100, and then at one point they were like $70 a piece. So, just following trends like that and just looking for the next thing is.
Yeah, companies like Facebook, they need new computers all the time just to keep up with capacity. So, the end of the lease comes up and they just dump everything, get all new stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know the UK market or Europe market is completely different. They basically run shit into the ground.
Yeah, they'll go 5 years or more, from what I understand.
And that's why there's less of a used market over there.
Yeah, I think if anyone wants to make money, the way to do it is to buy a lot of things off of lease in the US and just take them on a boat to like Australia.
Double your money.
I'll go.
Yeah, and then the Australians will still be saving money. Like you
Just
can,
make sure you pack everything upside down just to prepare for that trip.
yeah. Otherwise, you'll get your packets switched up. Are there plans for a NAS Killer version 4?
Yeah, when we find a board.
Not as such, but the mini guide I just put out is probably a decent. We'll call it a NAS Killer 3.5.
I call it a nah because it's just not quite fully a NAS.
It's a network attached something.
It's network attached.
He also says
It's got that part right.
I read about the 2.0, but every time I come across it, many of the parts are out of stock. Yeah, that happens. It's a guide. We don't sell any of the hardware, so we don't really have any control over that. But we try to provide you with the tools and the knowledge to sort of take it elsewhere and figure out what direction you want to go.
Yeah, it kind of links back to the previous question about how we bring about new builds. It just happens.
Yep. He also says.
And a lot of,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say a lot of the time we kind of drive that market where those boards are available and a guide's posted, and then all of a sudden they start selling out because people are buying it, and that's it. It's just gone after that.
I mean,
supply demand.
Does anyone recall how many NAS Killer V2 boards? It was something. It was like over 100, right?
Yeah.
It was well over 100, yeah.
It was well over 100 if I recall.
I think we're into like the 300 or 400s of the anniversary build.
Yes, definitely. Because they've resupplied.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't think that one's coming, like, going out of stock anytime soon. I think there's sufficient numbers of that. He also says, I've read about the NAS Killer version 3, but I made it seem not as good as the version 2, so I figured to wait for a build that's as good or better than the 2.0. That's not something you can ever count on. The 2.0 was just kind of the best thing you could get for the value, and as far as I know, there's no other board that exists out there that has the same features that's ever going to be that cheap, unless you're looking like 10 years from now. But if you have the money, anything you get off lease, like from a guide or used, it's going to be a lot better for your money than what you could get brand new. So
Yeah, and when you said not as good, it doesn't have as many features, but you more meant like price-wise. It just wasn't as good of a deal. Yeah, value per whatever you get.
yeah, we're a very value-oriented community, but as far as like, is it better or not? Like, really, the only thing you can quantify it as being better. I mean, they take the same CPUs, so they're kind of on the same the playing field there. They use the same RAM, so we just kind of mean better in terms of value, not necessarily like this one's faster than the other.
Okay. Next. Mother Borat asks. I'm assuming that's motherboard, but Borad sounds way more exciting. Very nice. All right. Have you ever considered creating some sort of master boot disk that has the latest BIOS, BMC, and firmware images for components used in the build guides? It wouldn't have to be super complex, just a dump of all the files in the root directory. Having everything in one image would make troubleshooting easier when somebody accidentally erases the flash on the wrong LSI card.
Sounds like somebody erased the wrong flash on the LSI card.
Well, we do have a link to some of the software needed on the Google Drive, and that's linked in like the guides, but I don't know that we will have like a master directory of everything just like straight up available. because it kind of gets into like dicey territory with copyright and stuff. For the most part, I usually just link to like Gigabyte's website if you need their software. It's all there, and like I have backups if they ever take it down. But there's really no reason for me to host it somewhere versus just pointing you to where they're hosting it.
Yeah, to actually provide the hosting for it, that gets into kind of weird territory.
I wonder if you meant actually like creating a boot disk. That's kind of beyond the scope of what I know how to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
It can be done, but again, that would be something we would have to ask permission, which creating guides, creating links back to their original location doesn't require permission. Doesn't require much in the way of difficulty as long as you can read and follow instructions.
The Google Drive link was dead according to a post recently. Yeah, so that's actually what I was talking about with copyright. Someone copyright claimed it, and I did modify it substantially, so I don't know on what basis they copyright claimed it, but I re-uploaded it with the new link, so it's up now. And I did fix it, but I have to keep an eye on it and see if that's something that's going to keep happening or not. So
next question, the Dawned anniversary build with all-in-one coolers. Any recommendations to get fans to turn off? Ambient room temp is 65 Fahrenheit, and the server does not work very hard. All fans are replaced with Arctics, but still a bit annoying. I'm guessing he's talking the sound. Thanks for everything. Great community.
You could try blowing on it. That might work.
So I don't know if you've removed the front fans, but that would be something that I would recommend from the Rosewell. And so you should only have fans in the fan wall and also the two in the rear. That will help with your noise quite a bit. Companies like Noctua and a few others like Zalman, they also make this fan resistor that turns a 12 volt into like a 7 volt wire, and you can put that on the fans and that'll slow the speed down quite a bit. So I would recommend picking those up. I'm trying to find them on Amazon right now. But you can just get a fan speed controller too. Anyway, I'll look for this and I'll post it if I find it.
Yeah, there's not much else to do beyond that.
You can always check your BIOS settings, make sure that the PWM is set correctly.
Right.
So, oh, that's actually not bad. A 10-pack for $4.29. So I don't know what this brand is, but this is a 3-pin. It'll also work with the 4-pin ones because it's open-ended on the male end, but it'll work pretty much with any fan, and then you just put it in line between the motherboard and the fan, and it'll just reduce the fan speed. So I'll post this in chat. Noctua's come with one of these in the box, so if you're going for Noctua fans, they have them, and tons of other companies make it too. It's really simple. No Deal asks, or he says, I'm in the process of standing up a Plex media system, and I have started going down the rabbit hole of doing a server build. In terms of basic media download, storage, and sharing, what do you think? Do you think a server is the best option, or would I be better off with a simpler setup? It's gonna kind of go back to what I said before. Servers are just computers, and it depends on how you're using it. I mean, it's kind of a loosely defined thing. A lot of people use their desktop as a server, and so, is it a desktop or is it a server? It's kind of both. But if you want to do a dedicated server, it's pretty easy, and managing it remotely is fun, and it's nice to be able to do that. Start small, like a NAS Killer V1, and you can take a look at the announcements channel. It's all posted in there, and that should only be like $150 to get it started with that. Someone want to take the second question?
This is the no deal question. Sorry.
Yeah.
So no deal part 2. It seems like a server is cheaper than a PC plus NAS combo, which is what I was originally thinking. Are there any hidden costs that I might not be thinking of if I'm starting from scratch? I feel like you're thinking that a server is going to replace your PC. Does anybody else see that or read the question as that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
You don't.
Which it can.
It can, but generally building a second server or which becomes your NAS, or building a server which becomes your NAS in addition to your PC is more ideal.
Yeah, you could just build a standalone box. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Just build a standalone box. It's so cheap, and it doesn't sound like you have a lot of requirements. So go for one of the micro ATX builds that I posted. And
the hidden cost is that you get to learn about building a server. So
the hidden cost is that you're gonna have 12 drive bays and be like, oh, 8 terabytes are on sale. Maybe I can throw some, 8 terabytes in there. What's 12 times $130? Oh wait, that's a lot of money.
1,600 and change.
And you have box.
That's tax.
Will be the storage.
The hidden cost will be your fingernails after shucking them.
It'll be hidden until your next credit card bill comes in.
Right.
We did skip over a question earlier. If you have an issue with your build, come into the Discord and ask. We've got a lot of people who will help you troubleshoot. We're not going to do any troubleshooting on the live stream.
So yeah, Alan's completely right. Like, I don't talk about the Discord a whole lot, especially in my videos and stuff. So if you're new to the Discord or you're not in the Discord, up on the screen right now is the Discord window. I'm in the live stream chat. But if you scroll down in the technology section, there's a tech support chat. This is just kind of the general tech support area. People talk about all kinds of stuff in here. However, if you are following a specific build, there's build chats for each of the builds. And you can join that by going to the roles channel and adding yourself to the role, or just asking someone, they'll add you. But so if you have like an anniversary build and you're working on it, everyone that's in this channel has either built or is building the anniversary build. So a lot of specific problems, more granular things they can help you with.
And you can use the search function in there too.
Yeah, Discord is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, don't be afraid to come in and ask for help. There's plenty of people who are definitely willing to help with that.
Yeah, I don't like to toot my own horn too much, but it's a pretty welcoming community, and while I'm not always the most active person on there, I mean, there's all kinds of people that are just willing to help regardless. So it's pretty nice.
Okay. Next, who's going to pronounce that one? I pronounced the last one.
Hundekade.
I think that was
asks. Hundekade asks, I've just pulled the trigger on a new Unraid build for Plex. I have an Asus router that I've been using to manage my home network. With the addition of this new build, would it be better suited with a managed switch?
I think the A is silent.
A suspect router.
Yeah, I would say get a managed. Well, not necessarily. You don't necessarily need a managed switch, but I would get a better switch regardless of what you do with your server.
I would say get a better router first.
That's what I was gonna say. Also,
get better networking equipment regardless of when or how you do your build. You're going to benefit from it either way.
Yeah. Start replacing the things that are potential bottlenecks. The switch is going to be very unlikely a potential bottleneck. If you want to mess around with the managed part, that's great, but I would say even better get get a nice router that can interface with your managed switch if you decide to go that route.
Fun fact, Asus got their name because they originally wanted to be called Pegasus and wanted to be at the top of the list of names in the A's, so they just chopped off the peg, and now they're Asus.
I did not know that.
And
Now
then,
you know.
unfortunately, there's also Acer, which is AC instead of AS, so they're not at the top of the list of names.
They leapfrogged.
Soon they'll take a page out of your playbook and be Asus.
Wouldn't that be pronounced Sus?
Yeah, but the
Ah,
I
H.
know
shit.
that's name too. Steve Jobs went to the phone book and said, "I want to be at the top of the list." Okay, we'll be Apple, so we're in the A's instead of IBM and stuff.
Which, I mean, really, that's kind of ridiculous. Who looks at a list of company names?
Well,
Like,
you used to.
yeah, but nobody does that.
No, not anymore. Yeah.
All right, next. Suplex Limited.
Sup?
What did he ask?
Whatever. What are the two biggest / newer features that are missing from the Gigabyte 7PH2 motherboard that we could look forward to in future builds?
40 gigabit and then 140 gigabit. But how far in the future are you talking here?
Yeah, that's sarcasm for those who can't tell. I don't think that it's really missing any.
The only deficiency that I've noticed is lack of fan headers. It's got 2 fan headers, and that's it. And people complain about that all the time. But that's not really a feature that I would say is like something to look forward to in a future build. I don't know. I don't know.
It's pretty solid.
Like, there's ways around having not many fan headers. You can get fan controllers and shit.
Or you can use the PWM sharing technology from Arctic.
Exactly.
There's some new unreleased technology that is going to be in future builds.
We just don't know it yet.
Honestly, not much has
Exactly.
changed from that. Like I have the anniversary build and it was my main build, and I'm not like looking forward to the next generation of like 2011 V3 and V4 because they have some sort of feature that that one doesn't have. They're pretty much the same thing except for with DDR4, which is not what I want to do. Their DDR4 is too expensive. So I don't think there's really anything that I'm looking forward to particularly that I couldn't add. Like if we wanted to do 40 gigabit, I could add it. But that's a good question.
Micro ATX.
Yeah, show me a micro ATX dual socket board and I will show you my wallet. She asks, I want to put a rack in the closet under my stairs, but it doesn't have any airflow. Is there any way to do this without creating a furnace in there? Kind of limited by physics, my friend.
Add vents, add fans.
You can't put your computer in an airlock. Sorry.
The best thing I could say is add a exhaust at the top and add an intake at the bottom and run hardware that doesn't need a lot of cooling. But even then, I really wouldn't recommend it because I don't know. There's all kinds of things that can happen. I would hate for you to start like to create a fire hazard.
Cooking with JDMY.
You're supposed to be cooking in the kitchen, not the whole house.
Next week on House Hunters, she is looking for a new house.
And also a new wife.
Cooking under the stairs.
Oh, by the way, when I come to see you in March, I want to make you some chicken Alfredo.
Okay. We have a great kitchen to make food, so.
I was gonna say.
Are you going to be able to make
switch that
kitchen
up.
Alfredo for like 10?
Yeah.
Do you have a crock pot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we have 2 actually, and we also have an instant pot.
I don't need the Instant Pot.
Okay.
Sidebar. Alfredo sidebar.
Making me hungry.
All right.
Is that going to be a keto friendly meal or?
Very not so.
Alan, why do you care?
Yeah, you're not even
I'm
doing
just-
it with your wife.
I'm definitely doing it with my wife. But I'm not on the keto diet.
She said otherwise.
I haven't seen proof of that.
I didn't say anything about a diet. I said I'm doing it.
I
Okay.
got what you were saying.
So you're eating the food.
I think Manbear's, it's gone whoosh.
That's not all
Right
I'm
over
eating.
his head.
Gator asks, speaking of companies offloading hardware, do we know where all these 7 Pesh 2s came from? They came from IT Mart. Beyond that, I would assume that you're probably not going to be in business long if you're reselling hardware and giving where you got that hardware. Both for business reasons and also security reasons.
There's no way they'll ever tell you where it came from, and they may not even know. To be honest, they may get it from another third party, or it may come from some place where they collect it all and then send it out.
Well, this
Who
data
knows?
center, the data center might be selling it in lots when they're decommissioning hardware. So it'll be coming, oh, you've got 40 racks of this model thing coming through.
So I've talked to the server store, MET International. They keep their things pretty close to the chest as far as like where they get hardware from, and they're just their answer is a generic data center. So I don't think it really
There's
matters.
also-
It would be neat to know.
There's no standard way to decommission hardware. Some companies don't even sell it off. They give it to these places to sell because it's not worth their time.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
tax
some of them
write-off.
Some of them are literally recyclers, so they get a pallet of electronics that they're supposed to recycle, and some of that ends up on eBay.
I can't tell you my favorite thing that happens is when you order something off of eBay and it comes very clearly brand new because it's never been used, but it's like 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, that's how my
Just
20
off the shelf new.
my Super Micro rack mount came that way. It was still in plastic.
Yep, my
Like, it
Super
had the
Micro.
QC sticker on it.
Yep, my 45 bay DAS was brand freaking new when I got it, and like, I was like, my jaw dropped. I got it for $300, and it was, I don't know, it's like 1,500 brand new or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of times companies purchase stuff with the intent to use it and they never get around to it.
Yeah.
Or
the
have it as a
plans change.
backup or something.
Yeah, or the plans change.
Or the company goes out of business suddenly, or something
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly.
But that's the kind of fun stuff that you get with doing hardware like this, and it's not really a lottery. It's like sometimes you get a bad board, sometimes you get bent pins, whatever, but it's not that big of a deal. All the people that have had that happen to them, they've gotten their situation sorted out one way or another, and they're happy. So it doesn't
Not
happen.
accounting for if you drop your heatsink onto your CPU socket.
Yikes.
Oof.
Yeah, but I mean, it is as much as you would worry about that, it doesn't happen nearly as often as you think.
Right. I was joking.
No. I mean, not necessarily about what you were saying, but I'm just saying like bad parts in general. God, out of the hundreds of things I've ordered, I've had maybe like 3, and two of the times the seller was like, "Oh yeah, we'll just refund you," and then the other time they're like, "Yeah, we'll send you a new one." So.
Yeah, a lot of times the sellers are great about replacing stuff, so that's not even really something to worry about.
Which is also why we work hard to get, good relationships with the vendors and people that we do.
Yeah, and for the most part,
Because-
the things you see on our guides are going to be from highly rated sellers, and the sellers are looking to make money. They're not looking to screw people over, because if they do screw people over, then that interferes with them making money, because bad word travels pretty quick.
Yeah, we won't ever recommend a seller that's really shady looking either.
Yeah.
Usually, if anything's recommended, one of us has bought it.
Unfortunately.
Speak for yourself.
Who here has a closet full of stuff that they're not using?
I don't
Closet,
know what you're talking about. I have
Garage.
a garage full.
garage, office.
Try a whole house full.
Yeah.
Just building my case.
Let's see. Any other stray questions from live stream chat or YouTube chat that we can tie up before we cut this one off?
I don't think so.
We'll give people time to ask something. If been doing about an hour and a half so far. Felix asks, have we heard how many NSFW boards IT Mart sold on their Black Friday sale or total period? They've never given me specifics, but I don't know about Black Friday, but I think we're in like the 400 or 500s as far as total sold. Oh, couple announcements. If you're sticking around for this part of the stream or the VOD, I'm going to be listing GTX 1060s for well, depends on which 1060, but between $110 and $115 shipped to the Continental, or I guess even Hawaii and Alaska, because they're going to go flat rate. But so 1063 gigs for between $110 and $115 shipped. I'll have probably 20 or 30 of them. We're going to be using some for the LAN that we're going to, but the rest are going to get sold. Disclosures, they were mined on. However, I do test all of them before they go out. They've also been undervolted and underclocked, so they've actually probably been treated better than your average gamer who overclocks their video cards. So just keep that in mind. But they were running super low temp, so probably like 50s constantly. So something to look forward to if you want a cheap video card. Pairs great with an X8 SIL or something like that.
I do have one other question.
Yeah.
Before we swapped whatever Google Sheet we were using, what is Britmob? What is Unraid's biggest flaw in your opinion?
I wouldn't so much say it's flawed as it's maybe not so much of an enterprise solution. It's more of a home solution that, people like us would build and put on a box. It's, for media consumption.
It's easier to work with.
It's easier to work with, but it's not made for high performance, high availability data, like something you're going to get with, a more robust, enterprise solution.
Yeah. Like even FreeNAS could provide that, even though I wouldn't necessarily call that an enterprise solution, but it does have much better potential data availability. But there's one thing that I can think of that that is preventing me from switching to Unraid entirely.
Is it the device limit?
Kind of device limit, but the fact that you can't have more than one pool.
Yeah, that actually would be a really nice feature to have multiple pools. I agree.
Because in my FreeNAS setup, I'm well past the Unraid device limit.
And you're past the breaker limit too, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I am. I am. I am past my 15 amp breaker limit from just hard drives. So, yeah, that's kind of a pain.
Turns on the computer, power cuts off.
Oh. Yeah, I tried to charge Emily's car because she has a plug-in hybrid, and that instantly just cut the breaker. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's on the same breaker. we have 3 different breakers for the garage, and I can't figure out which one's where.
2 of them are disconnected.
Yeah, I think one's for the lift, and then one's for the fridge, and then I don't know.
Sounds right.
That feeling when you got to switch to 220 for your computers.
Yeah. I don't even know that a 20 amp on a 120 would be enough. I have hard drives literally in the bays that aren't all the way in the bays turned on because I will pop the breaker. They're all
Sounds
like
like you need an electrician.
it's just like another thing on the list, you know? It's just like another thing that's like
Well, that's why you're downsizing, so you don't have to do that.
Sounds like you need to go denser. You need to
I've
get
got-
terabyte drives.
Did you just call them dense?
No, I said call Linus.
they're 4 terabyte SAS drives, which is part of the problem because the SAS drives are, I think they're 7.2K,
Yep.
or at least these
Sounds like
ones
you
are.
need to get to shucking.
Just chug that power.
Yeah. Let's see, what else am I missing from live stream chat here? Felix says, I don't require the keto diet, just give me chicken Alfredo. Yeah. Is the
That's for
gigabyte...
us.
Oh, that's an interesting question. So, if you're unaware, Gigabyte also makes like 3 other GA7 PESH models, the PESH 1, 2, 3, and 4. The PESH 4 is an interesting model. It has the CPUs mounted vertically, and I'll link this in YouTube chat here for the record.
Oh, is that the one that had like the daughter boards that they attached to, or was that? What am I thinking of? Something else?
I think you're thinking of something else, but this one just has Gigabyte or it's a Gigabyte board. Has gigabit LAN, it has 4 gigabit LAN and 16 DIMMs, but the processors are stacked vertically, or I guess horizontally, depending on how you see it. And it's more for like a 2U setup, where you're running high performance processors in a CPU focused build, and you need equal and adequate cooling across both of them. So it's an okay board, but it uses narrow ILM. It has a SAS controller built in. I mean, it's all right. I would say go for the other one for sure. I think the PSH 3 is the maybe they don't have it.
Fake news.
No, there it is. Yeah, the PESH 3 is like the consumer version of it. It supports 4-way SLI and Crossfire. I mean, it's got SAS, but the SAS are physically SATA, so they've got all kinds of weird models out there. And this one has onboard audio, has USB 3.0. It's a cool board, but I mean, I think they're like $600 or something like that still.
Ooh.
Look at all those PCI ports.
Yeah, they're all by 16 too.
Oh, because it does quad.
Yeah.
SLI.
Quad SLI, quad Crossfire.
Do it.
But the problem is you can't overclock the processors. So
LAN jam goals.
Oh shit.
How many 1060s you got?
1060s don't support SLI.
That's a miner's board right there.
Yeah. What's the PSH1? Oh, it's the same as the PESH 2, but I think it doesn't have 10 gig E. So that's something to consider.
I mean, we could line it or mine at LAN Jam.
Game coin?
Could.
Overbuild coin?
We could also do Dash Coin at LAN Jam. That doesn't mean.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a pretty good question. There are other boards out there. Just kind of evaluate the features and see what else is going on. I'm gonna go ahead.
And I was gonna say if nobody's been lying on the self zip code stat, we did get a question from Hawaii in this jam.
Damn.
Did
So
you?
I posted.
Yeah,
I
you
posted the
linked that.
map into mod chat, but I didn't want to drop it into the main without permission.
Yeah, nobody's names on it. It's just zip codes. So we try to do this, and I think we'll. Well, since we have the form now, we can just do a running total, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you submit your zip code, go ahead. Sorry.
I have zip codes from the previous ones on a different sheet, so
Okay.
I can add those too.
Cool. Yeah. So if you submit your zip code, you'll end up on the map, and it's cool to see where everyone's from. And I can kind of see a little bit of this in YouTube stats, but I don't think YouTube's necessarily representative of everything else we do. But
Felix is asking, what's Land Jam?
so LAN Jam is something that I've not really talked a whole lot about. It's a LAN party that's happening locally to me. The moderators are all coming and staying at my house, so expect quite a lot of
Shenanigans.
Yeah, I was going to say content, but shenanigans is probably more appropriate.
Yep.
We're doing all kinds of fun stuff, and we're still working out the details. But as far as we know, we have it down on who's coming, where people are staying, and stuff like that. So it's happening, but as far as what's happening and all the finer details, we're working on that. So.
And it's the beginning of March.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll see you there.
Not for
Or
plebs.
will
Well,
we?
You'll see us there.
Yeah.
Me and Falter in the Fun V.
That's right.
So as far as anything else, I think we're good on questions. Oh yeah, the other thing I was going to say, besides the 1060s that I'm trying to get rid of, I have a couple tabletop builds coming out soon. I don't know that they're going to turn into full guides, but I've got a couple interesting boards I picked up off of eBay, and I know Ordnance has been bugging me for a while to work on some Inventec boards. I have 2 of them here. So I've got those 2. I've got a new Intel board. I've got a mini ITX board that I'm going to try to play with. I got the mini ITX board for $15, so that should be kind of interesting. I'll see what I can do with that thing. So expect a lot of tabletop builds and me talking about motherboards. I don't know if they're going to turn into guides or not, but I guess that's what I'm trying to see. Anything else to tie it up before we close this one out?
we have a lot of different interest in this Discord besides just server builds. A lot of us like to play games. A lot of us are into audiophile stuff. So feel free to come in and hang out with us.
And join the voice chats if you want to talk to us too. We're not afraid of talking to you if you see us in the chat channels.
Yeah, we're in a public, we're in a, I mean, it's a public facing Discord, but we're in a public voice chat right now. So it's not like we're sitting in a corner.
Yeah, more than likely, if we see, a couple people in a public channel, we'll come in and join. It's pretty casual. It's pretty fun.
We got to see how many people we can get into golf.
Yeah, could do golf.
What's the limit for golf it?
I was
It
gonna
used to be
say,
8. I don't think there's a limit now.
No limit.
I was gonna say I'll play that shit tonight.
Yeah, we haven't done that in a while, actually. I think the last time I played was the last time we did it after an AMA, so
That was months
hopefully to come
ago.
play golf it. I'm up for playing tonight.
Yeah, me too.
I might. I'm kind of tired. Also, I work.
Do it.
I work super early tomorrow.
So JDM won't ever play golf it. He
No, it's a
pinged
meme. That's a
every one of
meme.
us.
It's not true.
This is 100%
It is
true.
true,
It's
though.
not a meme. So this started because he found this golf game, pinged every one of us, and said, "Hey, get this game," and then never played with us. Like
I mean,
he played like once or twice, and we played all the time.
To be fair, it was on sale, so.
To be fair.
To be fair.
All right, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna cut this one off. I'll see you guys later. And
Oh, you're not going to join us for Golf It?
I may or may not.
Shenanigans.
That means no.
Good ending.
All right, say bye.
Bye.
Bye, JDM.